everybody, and welcome to our live broadcast. Today, I am honored and very happy to be joined by a long term industry friend, Lucy. Hi, Lucy. How are you doing?
I'm fantastic. It's so lovely to see you, Benix,
Yeah,
and to be live with you.
you too, you too. Obviously, the majority of our readers and our followers know Lucy from her days at International House. And we have fond memories of those days, might I add. But today I have Lucy over here who's kind of wearing a different cap because for those who have been following Lucy's social media, they know that you've moved on from the industry, so to speak, because what you're doing is still a little bit attached to our industry. I think it's one of those things where kind of once you're in, you never leave. But today we're going to be talking to Lucy about her dissertation. So, Lucy, you've left the industry so that you can pursue your studies. First of all, can you tell us a little bit about what it is that you are studying and what led you to this decision, perhaps?
Yeah, so I'm studying organizational psychology and an MSc in organizational psychology, which is all the psychology related to work. So, well-being, leadership, teams, recruitment, you name it, anything to do with how we behave at work and how we support people at work. It's related to that. And that came from a personal interest, I think, from spending a lot of time as a manager and as a leader. And also, I mean, my first job with International House actually was in recruitment and selection and training, all of these things. So it's a really, really nice match actually with what we're interested in our industry. And I've been IH for a long, long time, as you know. If I'm completely honest with you, I think I'd neglected my own self-development a little bit. I'd spent a lot of time talking about the importance of education and training and development. And I was very, very, very busy in my role, and it was a wonderful role, and I loved it. But I never could find the time and the headspace to actually really study and learn. So I was really, really fortunate to be in a situation where I could take that opportunity last September after the pandemic and when everything was kind of settled down and National House was in a really good place. So I took the jump. But I don't feel I've left. It's like you say, you don't really ever leave. I mean, you never leave IH, I hope. There's always a bit of my heart that's going to be very much part of IH, but also part of our industry because it's a wonderful industry. Mm-hmm. And actually looking at it from the outside, I can see that more than ever, actually. You sometimes...
I was going to say
absence
that,
makes the heart grow fonder, I've learned a lot.
I was going to say that,
yeah.
kind of how is it, how do you perceive the industry nowadays that you're looking at it, perhaps from not an outsider's perspective, but perhaps from a different angle, let's put it that way?
Well, I think the interest in developing people, in supporting people, in helping people, it's a very warm industry. It's a very friendly industry. There's a lot of people who are really passionate about what they do. And I've spent time now with people that work in very different industries on the course, and I have to confess, I sort of find myself thinking, sounds very boring. That sounds very dry. So I think we've got a lot of positive things. And actually, I think the other thing that's interesting, I'm studying, for my dissertation, obviously we're talking about female leadership.
Yeah, we'll move on to that in a minute, in fact.
Yeah, and one of the interesting things about that is I don't think our industry is particularly bad or poor in that regard. There are lots of very excellent women managers and leaders in our industry, and I would say more so probably in the past 10 years in comparison with other industries. That's quite noticeable. When I've reflected on my experiences, with other people, again, from my course who worked maybe in professional services or finance or these different sort of places, I think there are a lot of women that have, climbed the ladder in our industry. So that's been interesting to sort of reflect on the experiences of women within education as opposed to perhaps other industries.
Other industries. Okay. So let's move on a little bit to what it is that you are doing right now, and obviously also the scope of this interview. And while, as we were talking before we went live, Obviously, we cannot discuss any findings yet because you are still in the process of collecting data and of collecting information. However, even for the sake of those people who are watching us, we will be back with Lucy once her dissertation is published, so that obviously we can find out what you found out in all of this. But right now, you are in the process of collecting data and you are looking for people to interview and who can help you in this, by sharing their experience and by sharing, what their management role is all about. So can you tell us a little bit about what it is that you are looking for, or who rather than what?
Gladly, and I'm so happy to have the opportunity to do so. So I'm looking for women that are early on in their leadership experience. So they may have had a little bit of management experience, but maybe they've moved into a role where for the first time they feel they're taking a lead, they're in a leadership role. They have a team, or they're managing a department, or they might be managing, they might be a center manager, but they've made that shift from being someone perhaps that's maybe supervising or coordinating other people's work to actually leading, having strategic responsibility. But somebody that's early in that experience, so within the past 5-6 years that they've taken on that role. And ideally, they'll have been in the role for a little while. So I've said 12 months on my advert. It could be slightly less than that. But what I'm interested to know is how that experience has been for them. So obviously, they need to have been in the role for a little while to be able to reflect on, okay, how they feel differently to prior to taking the role.
So basically, it is those people who have made the transition to a leadership role and who have, or who had before making that transition, been in the industry for about 5 to 6 years.
Oh no, they could have been in the industry a very short time. It's that they made that transition within the past 5 years.
Okay.
So it could be they started the leadership role 6-7 months ago, or it could be that they started it 5 years ago. But I want it to be quite fresh in their mind, what that experience, so recent years. And the other key thing is that I'm looking to speak to women who are millennials. So between the ages of around 27 to 42. And the reason I've chosen that is very much because I don't want to bring my own personal experience. So, if I talk to people of my age, I sort of already have a lot of people I've talked to about this. I'm really interested in talking to people that have had a different experience, that are from a different generation, that maybe to see what the differences are, to see if things have changed, to see if their experience are different. And the other thing is, unfortunately, they need to be in the UK, which is not. I would have very, very happily made the study international. I mean, that's my network is international, but because it's quite a short study, there's insurance things with the university. It's just easier for them if it's UK based, for data protection, that kind of thing.
I understand. Okay, so to summarize who your kind of target interviewee is, so women between the ages of 25 and 42.
27, 42.
27, sorry, 27 and 42, based in the UK, who have recently taken on a leadership role within the international education industry.
Exactly.
So kind of those four main
those are the main things. And there's a little bit of wiggle room, so what I would love is for somebody to email me and say, I think I fit this, is that, and obviously I'll be really happy. If people are not sure, just get in touch. I would love to hear from you. I would love to hear from any woman leader.
I'm sure. And for the purpose of those who are obviously following us at the moment, or those who will follow the live broadcast, because again, as we were discussing before we went live, thankfully, this is a very busy period in our industry, and obviously people are busy at their schools, at their agencies, which is a very nice problem to have. We are not complaining. But for the sake of those people who are watching us or who will watch us later on, can you tell us how they can contact you?
Yeah, so the best thing is to email me, which is my name, so lucy.horsefield@outlook.com.
Okay.
But they'd message me on Facebook, message me on LinkedIn, however they want to reach out.
Very good. Well, in any case, from our end, we'll be adding your email address, we'll be adding links to your LinkedIn so that people can literally come from our website straight to yours. And like that, it will all be very, very simple.
Mm-hmm.
And one thing, to start wrapping this up. So, I know we can't speak about findings and you don't have any official findings yet, because, like we said, you are still collecting this data. But have you made any kind of assumptions?
Yes, yeah, and well, I would love to share. I mean, I think this is a good opportunity to share to anybody that is in their first, leadership role or early, or they're thinking about, taking on a leadership role. There's so many things that I have learned. I mean, I've learned from my own experience as well and reading about it. I think one is the importance of networks. Making sure that you're part of a network, not just networking for your business to promote your company, but also networking for your personal growth, to find people that are role models, that can be mentors for you, to find allies, to find people to share your experiences with. So that's one that comes through really, really clearly. And I think as organizations, I think it's about thinking really hard about the policies and the practices and the culture that you have, and whether that does provide an equal, inclusive environment for women and for women that are, looking to be in management roles. Things like, I mean, this from our industry, if the main way that people socialize and do business, is in a bar at the end of the day, or, it involves being able to be in that situation, that can be very difficult for women who have children and families. Or things like, if as a young woman, if you see in your company that there are women that go on maternity leave and they come back and they still have their jobs, and there's flexibility, and that's going to inspire you to think that that's possible and feasible for you. So there's things that organizations can do. There's things around training, accessing training, giving training in leadership, in management. I think, we tend to focus a lot on training related to, I don't know, how to do an appraisal, or how to deal with this practical thing. And particularly if your background
is very, very tangible, very, very tangible
sort of
things.
practices, and not so much maybe accessing training or developments about what does it mean to be a leader? What does leadership look like? Does the model of leadership in my head, is that work? Actually, do I have to be the heroic leader, or can I be the collaborative? All of these things. So having these different exposures to different ideas and theories about leadership. So many things, Benny's. I could talk to you all morning.
And also, it happens to be a topic which I'm also very passionate about. So yes, we could definitely be here all day. But what you're saying is very interesting, because something that I firmly believe in is that when it comes to leadership, people need to be exposed to all the different types of leadership methodology, leadership skills, leadership styles that there are, so that whenever a situation crops up, rather than leading through how they are, leading through their character, they can choose the leadership style based on the situation that they are faced with, or based on the person that they are so the ability to adapt, I guess.
To adapt, be flexible. But also I think there's a big thing there as a woman. If you have seen a lot of male leaders and you have an idea of how a leader is based on that experience, and you can't relate to that, it's very difficult then to understand what your identity might be as a leader. Whereas if you've seen women and operate in leadership roles in a way that you can actually envisage yourself doing, that's very empowering. So I think there's that as well. It's definitely about seeing that there is not just one way of leading, and there is not just one way of being. And this idea of the born leader, I think that's a very old-fashioned but still, when people talk about leadership, still, they quite quickly use words like, visionary and courageous and, charisma and all of this kind of thing. And obviously there's a time and a place for that, but that's actually not the way of modern leadership, not at all. But I think having discussions like that, having conversations like that, talking to other women about how they feel about that, That can be extremely, extremely helpful.
Yeah, my gosh.
Mhm.
So interesting. And we definitely could be here all day talking about this. But unfortunately, we do have to bring it to a close. However, I very much look forward to having you on this live broadcast again, Lucy. Once your dissertation is published, when will it be finished? When will you publish it?
September. Yes,
Okay.
not
So,
long. It's not long. So
yeah.
I would please come get in touch, because I need to do my interviews, and then as soon as I finish that stage, I can get on with the analysis.
And
And
do you
then
have a target number of interviewees that
yes, 15. So I've done
15?
about half. I have some
Okay.
people in the pipeline, but I definitely need more.
Okay.
And if
Okay.
I have more than 15, even
So
better.
much the
So
better.
yeah.
Okay.
So
Very well.
I would love another 4 or 5 people. I would love, yeah,
Nice.
that would be fantastic.
So, people listening to us, please do get in touch with Lucy. I will, right after this live broadcast, pop her email address onto the comment section as well, so that you can get in touch with her directly, whether it is through Facebook, through LinkedIn. Obviously, we've been sharing this whilst we are live on all our different platforms. It will go onto YouTube, it will go onto our site, social media newsletter as an article, so you have no excuse. Get in touch with Lucy and do answer her questions, because I'm sure that apart from obviously getting a nice person to achieve a valuable qualification, this is also valuable work for our industry that we all love so much. So the more insight we have, the more information we have about these kinds of topics, the more and the further our industry can grow and expand.
I really hope so. I would love to think that it could be something that could be useful. And actually, just to mention as well, in terms of the interview experience, people have told me, the people that I've interviewed, that they actually found it really helpful to have that time for self-reflection, because, self-awareness is really a big part of this whole leadership identity process.
Course.
So they did say that they enjoyed the chance to talk. The other thing to say is it's completely confidential. So I will nobody will know who I've spoken to. So even when I publish the dissertation, the participants will be anonymized. There'll be no identifying information. So if people are thinking, I'd like to do it, but I don't want really to have, to sort of put myself out there, that's fine. No one's going to know who took part.
Okay. Very good. Well, from my side, Lucy, if I do know of anybody who kind of ticks those 4 different boxes that we discussed, I'll definitely put them in touch with you.
Thank you so much. And Benny, thank you. You've always been a fantastic advocate for women, but thank you so much for giving me this opportunity. I really appreciate it.
You're more than welcome. And like I said, we look forward to having you back on this broadcast to discuss now.
I know, definitely. Book me in for September.
Now we have to hear the results.
Yes, absolutely. Definitely. That would be
Lovely
fantastic.
having you with us, Lucy, here today. And hopefully we'll cross paths face to face, not online.
I hope
in
so.
The
I miss you. I miss you.
Oh,
so
do I. Take care. Very nice to have you, Lucy. All the best.
Thank you so much, Penny. Take care.